You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the Three's a Crowd podcast. My name's Rye. I've got two very happy people on my left and right, and today I'm not happy at all. No, what's going on? I can turn it on for you. Welcome to the Northeast Football Podcast, where we, the Borough, are the dunce. You've got Newcastle off to Wembley, and Sunderland can't score a goal, but we'll score them for you. Ted, the MACKEM, on my right as well. It's so good to see each and every one of you. Welcome. We are here every Saturday to preview the Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough games. We fight, we banter, we bite each other's ears, and then we get back to loving each other straight after the pod. If you could all please leave a like, consider subscribing. You can find us at Inrictus, at Ted the MACKEM, at NUFC Matters as well, or at Steve Wraith. It does help us go a lot. We will also have our own social platform launching very, very soon for Three's a Crowd. I've started all of it. I've done the admin. So we'll have our own Three's a Crowd.
Check the spelling, Steve.
As we go up to the atmosphere, I tell you. But good morning to each and every one of you. Hope you're all fantastic. No Middlesbrough game today. Obviously, we didn't make the FA Cup.
It's FA Cup weekend, isn't it? Otherwise known as Saturday at the Middlesbrough and Sunderland.
Correct.
Hey, we're playing.
Yeah,
not the FA Cup.
No, it's overrated.
Yeah.
Hasn't been the same since 73.
Day off for Middlesbrough. Sunderland are playing, and Newcastle, obviously, what a fantastic win that was midweek. Let's get straight into it and start off with that, because I don't think of a better way to talk about it.
You don't want to start
United.
on the Monday.
I don't even know what Monday is, Ted. Ted, that was for the last podcast. Please don't bring up old stuff. What we're going to talk about is Newcastle United and a massive win over Arsenal. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Can you believe it? Arsenal just absolutely falling over. Newcastle United just showing the world what they can do on a big spotlight. Off to Wembley. An incredible night for you, Steve. Obviously, Arsenal needing to look for a big win at St. James's Park. It was just always going to be the odds against them. But Arteta and I believe a couple of their players were in belief that they were going to win 3 or 4-0 at St. James's Park, but it wasn't to be, mate. It was a great game by Newcastle United. Well, I thought tactically masterminded by Eddie Howe to just get through that game unscathed. I mean, Anthony Gordon, what a play he is. And you're off to Wembley, mate. Can you believe it? You've shaved the beard. You're a superstitious lad like myself. You've gone through a different ticket gate just to get your club back to Wembley, mate. First off, congratulations. How does it feel? Wembley for Newcastle United in 2025.
It feels great, mate, but I'd really like to start the show by talking about Monday night's game. I thought, Aylan, what on earth happened? What happened with Aylan? I mean, dear me, how?
Right, so we're on to the next
one. By a mug.
The Super Bowl. You guys want to talk about the Super Bowl? That's coming up. Let's talk about Super Bowl.
Have you got something that looks like Aylan?
No.
Ted, have you?
Hang on, isn't the Super Bowl what Rye's mum used to cut his hair with? To get round that big Eid.
I tell you what, Rye. I know you want to come to it. It is your show, so I am winding you up. But we will be talking about Sunderland's 3-2 win at Borough and how bad Aylan was. But Newcastle did get to Wembley, and we really did the job down at the Emirates a month ago. The concern I think we all had was, where Newcastle would be 4 weeks after that win. Yeah. We went on a wonderful run, and the pre-match press conference was really interesting with Eddie because he was very coy about what he was going to do, who he was going to play, what formation he was going to play, as he always is. But it was an Eddie Howe masterclass on Wednesday night, and to come up with the idea, and he will have done it with his team. The lads Tyndall and Jonesy and everybody behind will have come up with this game plan. And to hear Bruno at the end of the match explain that they'd only decided to do this on Monday, to push the centre halves up, to pressurise their midfield with the high press, pushing Declan Rice, who, is England's best central midfielder at this moment in time, back onto the edge of his own box, which ultimately led to Gordon's goal, the second goal, the killer goal. It was just a tactical masterclass. When the team was announced, three centre halves, people were saying, is it three at the back? Is it five at the back? What's he doing? What he was doing was get us to Wembley, and you've got to give Eddie Howe the praise, because him and his backroom staff done a fantastic job. And Newcastle have had to beat Premier League opposition in each round of this cup competition, and that's a huge thing. Not just any old teams either. They've had to beat big teams in and around them, so they deserve to be at Wembley. The disappointment, I guess, for most of us is we'd love to have played Spurs. Spurs didn't turn up on Thursday. Liverpool looked out of this world. But, we've played Liverpool this season. We know the cut of their jib. We'll have played them twice by the time the final comes around, because we've got them at Anfield too for the final. But we drew 3-3. We should have won the game 4-3. And I think that's the way that the final's going to be. It's either going to be a goal-scoring bonanza for the neutral, and it's going to be a 4-3 to one of those teams, or it'll be a 0-0 and the most boring game ever, and it'll go to penalties. There'll not be anything in the middle of that. I think that's the kind of final that you're looking at. But it was great. I mean, Kieran Trippier came in. He's had a couple of opportunities to move. Newcastle have kept a hold of him, and I think it proved to be the right decision when you saw Trippier come in and do what he did on Wednesday. He marshalled that back four at times. The shithousery was back. The game management was back. He really put it onto Arsenal at times, and the rest of the team responded. Alexander Isak was unplayable. Made the two best centre halves in the Premier League look like amateurs, to the point where Saliba now wants to leave the Premier League and go and play somewhere else. So, ultimately it becomes a game where Newcastle are really pushing and trying to get that kind of, that third goal in the tie, and they managed to do it, albeit after a wonderful goal was disallowed by Alexander Isak. And we've seen the plus side and the negative side of VAR in two cup competitions over the last few days. Newcastle have a goal chalked off for the narrowest of margins for Alexander Isak. Wonderful goal. We're very lucky that we managed to have another opportunity through Isak, which Murphy put away, to give us that 3-goal advantage. But then we watched a match last night, Manchester United against Leicester, where there was no VAR involved. Manchester United's player clearly offside, and that would have got Leicester into the extra time and potentially going through into the fifth round. But it is the way it is. We just got to put up with VAR, and when it's in, and when it's not, it's not. But delighted, mate. Delighted we're at Wembley. 16th of March, can't come quick enough. Not long to wait. Usual furore will develop over the next week or so about tickets and who gets one and who doesn't get one. But I'm looking forward to it. My train's booked, my hotel's booked. I'm looking forward to being there and representing Three's a crowd.
Yes, good on you, Ted. It was obviously an amazing result for Newcastle in a week that was already painful enough for me, but obviously painful to see as a MACKEM. I'm sure the Geordies reaching a cup final again. One thing I must say, though, as a neutral, I am looking forward to the fixture of Newcastle versus Liverpool. I think that's going to line up much more than an Arsenal v Liverpool or anything like that could have been on the cards. For me, Newcastle-Liverpool has an exciting game written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a Premier League neutral for so many years, in the time when we spent a long time in the Championship, or the old Division 1 as it used to be as well for a little while. This was a tie that you used to look forward to, Newcastle-Liverpool. It was, obviously as a Sunderland fan, you were hoping that Liverpool were going to get one over on them. But what fantastic games of football they've always been. Some amazing finishing, some just absolute edge of the seat games, almost like basketball, so end to end at times. So yeah, listen, it's a very, very exciting tie. I think I would have been disappointed if Tottenham had got through.
Yeah.
I just think kind of Steve's going to knock me for this, but a final with two trophy virgins would have been a little bit cagey.
We're not trophy virgins. We just haven't won one for a long time.
I'll rephrase. Right, it's not virgins, but you're practically healed up. Yeah.
It's sealed over.
Apologies to any female viewers on behalf of Ted.
I didn't say anything wrong there. No, I think it would have been too cagey because there's a lot at stake here. Newcastle are desperate to win a trophy, and rightly so. That they're another big club that hasn't won a trophy for a long time. So of course they're going. It would have been far too edgy, I think, if Spurs had been in the final. I think with it being against Liverpool, it's a one-off game. And I think we honestly will see a massively open game. We will see Newcastle United that will go after Liverpool. Like Steve said, they know what to expect from them. They know how to play. And, in the times that they play them, Liverpool have never really stuffed Newcastle, as far as I can remember, for a very long time. So Newcastle are always... It's a game where the Geordies will keep up with them. And I think they might just surprise it. It's obviously a bit too early to talk predictions. We don't know what the teams are going to be by then. But I just foresee an absolutely belting cup final. I really do. An absolute barnstormer. Possibly, I will go as far to say it'll probably be one that's remembered for a long, long time, this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an exciting fixture. And obviously, the 16th of March is still a good month and a bit away. But honestly, what a result this could be. I mean, looking back, obviously, at Newcastle and Liverpool history, there's always goals in it. There's always goals in it. The last 0-0 draw to be played between Newcastle and Liverpool was just 30th of December 2020. And then even then, after that, you got to go back to, when is it? I was looking at this earlier. It's literally like in the 1900s to find another 0-0 draw. The last one in the 20s. So I have.
Yes, trying his best.
Penalties, them 0-0 draw.
It's going to be incredible. Obviously, Liverpool looked absolutely incredible. I'm not sure if they were that good or if Tottenham were just that bad, but Big Ange has got some big serious problems on getting Tottenham still through to a cup final. But Liverpool did look good. It's going to be a tantalising fixture. We're going to talk about it in more depth as well as we go through the podcast. Here on Three's a Crowd. Let's get the elephant out of the room first and foremost. Let's get it out of the way, thank God, so we can just move on. Super Bowl is coming this Tuesday, where we have got, it is Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. The Derbysh played on Monday night was an absolute horror show for Middlesbrough, an absolute fantastic show by Sunderland. Sunderland stealing our corner flag. We still haven't received it back yet from Willian Isidore. He ran out of the ground with it. It was an incredibly terrible performance from Middlesbrough standards, I would say. And Sunderland were just happy to take the 3 points, I think, and obviously 6 points in total. First time that Sunderland have won since 1990 at the Riverside as well. So a massive, massive win for Sunderland on our home turf. From a Middlesbrough point of view, before we get Ted's thoughts, it was incredibly frustrating, incredibly saddening. Obviously, the comments this week, Ted and I have been talking about it in our WhatsApp as well. It's just been all Carrick out. I mean, ever since this result, we've seen nothing but Carrick out. Carrick is now the longest serving manager in the championship. The sacking of Paul Warne midweek from Derby County made him the longest serving manager, but it's only been 3 years. And Middlesbrough fans are starting to get worried. We're starting to get a bit fed up. We even saw a massive atmosphere put on for the game at the Riverside. It was organised by the club. The club said, this is a massive game. We really need the crowd to be on our side. Well, the crowd showed up. We had fireworks. We had 30,000 plus packed into a Riverside stadium to get a performance like that. And unfortunately, we see moments and photos of kids crying and fans crying after the game. And then they ask us, to rock back up the next week at a home game. And they wonder why, you know what I mean? When you get performances like that. Now, the fans aren't in control of the performances, but unfortunately, it's the memories like that hurt and live forever. And I hope it does hurt the players just as much as the fans are hurting right now. But we live and forget, we move on. It was a defensive disaster class. And unfortunately, we need to move on quickly. We have got new signings on the door, signings that will debut next week against Sheffield United. Yep, that is our next opponent. It doesn't get any easier for Middlesbrough. We have to take on Chris Wilder and the Sandwiches next Wednesday night. But Teddy boy, obviously a massive win for you, not only because it was against Middlesbrough, mate, but to be honest, it keeps you in touch with that top three of Leeds, Burnley and Sheffield United in hopes that you can potentially track one of them down. Leeds had a big win, obviously, as well, which keeps their credentials alive. But I think we're still hoping that a Sheffield United, even a Burnley for a banana slip, mate, and you might be able to peep into that top two.
Yeah. Let's start with the game. And to be honest, right, it wasn't all our own way. As much as it was a fantastic win, thoroughly enjoyed it, loved the scenes at the end. Wilson Isidore celebrating his permanent contract with the club in absolute fine style. took his goal just unbelievably well, sitting the goalkeeper down, considering the week he'd had where, he'd missed those 2 penalties, to have the confidence to go up against a keeper like that and just completely sit him down on his ass, and finish so coolly. Brilliant. Love to see it. But the first 20 minutes, I think, were problematic for Sunderland, and I think Borough were very much on top of us. I think there was definitely mistakes made. I think, unfortunately, both Middlesbrough goals really had an element of Luke O'Nien being slightly at fault. He was out of position, certainly for the first goal. And then just an absolute hospital pass to Job that gave away the second one. By the way, that was a cracking finish. Absolute cracking finish from Anthony.
It really was.
Barnstorming goal. But, that aside, we had some hairy moments. I think Anthony Patterson was on absolute top form. I don't think there's an awful lot he could have done about the goals that he conceded, but there was a couple of saves where he very much kept us in the match. But let's talk about Enzo Lafay, because man of the match performance and
23 mil.
I think in Lafay and in Wilson Isidore, I think we've got 2 players who could play in the Premier League. Yeah. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Enzo Lafay looked a different class above anything else on the pitch. It took him a long while to get him into the game, mind you. Same with Isidore as well. I think Isidore's goal was something like his 4th or 5th touch in the whole game. But when you have players who've got that bit of quality about them, that's what they can do. Lafay, though, his technical ability was just absolutely unreal.
His first touch.
Yeah, his first touch is just magic. It is really magic. And I know Luke Ayling's had a lot of grief for his performance, and it wasn't the best, but he was up against a player just absolutely on top form. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. Lebris said after the game that he's approaching his best now, and he's about at 70% of where he expects him to be. If that's 70% of the player that we've got, absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And the ball he put in, obviously, Giles as well. You've got to feel for Giles. It's a complete accident, a complete freak own goal. It looks like a cracking finish when you see it from behind, to be honest. But it's just one of those, I don't think he expects that ball to come through. I really don't. It comes through a little bit of a crowd of players, 2 or 3 players, and it's just one of them where it just hits him in his stride, and it looks like, it was a better finish than what Paveda tried to do just after that, where he trod on the ball and completely fluffed the opportunity. But never mind. Brilliant game. Look, I feel for Carrick and the fact that, the transfer business, brilliant up the top end of the pitch. I mean, Morgan Whittaker is a fine player. He was virtually non-existent in that game.
He was there,
I thought Sirkin really did a number on him. I can only remember him really having one chance. And if you limit him to that, that's great. Sometimes that's all you need with Morgan Whittaker to take those. But I think the defensive frailties have really been highlighted for Middlesbrough. While I think there's a little way for us to go as well. Overall, fantastic win. I think you're right. I think it proves our credentials that we deserve to be considered for the top 2. I'm telling you now, Leeds will implode in March. They always do. They will implode in March. And I watched the Burnley game. I watched it with my dad-in-law, who's a Burnley fan. And I was kind of sitting watching it, going, I'm not impressed. Defensively, very, very good. It was all very Arsenal from the 1980s. They're just very, very difficult to beat. Hey, if they get promoted on the back of that, you can't knock them. But I just don't think. I think they're a couple of injuries away, maybe even just one injury away from having a bit of a problem on their hands. I don't think they've got the defensive cover there. So either one of those centre-backs is injured out. That's a big problem for them. I honestly still think we'll go up. I said if we're still in the top 4 by the end of January, we'll get promoted. I haven't changed my mind. I think we're digging results out. And to be fair, we've got one more really difficult away game, and that's Leeds United on February the 17th. Any kind of result there is a massive statement of intent for me.
Obviously, you got Watford at home today as well in the Championship. We'll talk about that very, very soon. Steve, obviously the derby, mate. Unfortunately, we didn't decorate the bar this time round as you got at the Riverside Stadium for the Mackems that came, but we did allow them. We scored for them 2 goals off, one off Edmondson's chest, the other one off Ryan Giles putting in a perler. Game finishing 3-2, mate. A game that you watched. A disaster class defensively for Middlesbrough, to say the least, calamitous. But Sunderland, taking all 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game for the neutral. Monday night game. Obviously, I had the option of watching that or watching Chelsea versus West Ham, and I mean, it didn't let you down. It was a good advert for the championship, and goals galore. Sunderland definitely deserved the win. Middlesbrough, disappointing, I guess, from your point of view, right? To lose to your rivals, and we made a big thing about it on the show last week that this was Middlesbrough's opportunity really to close that gap, and if they lost, then it would be a calamitous situation for Borough, and that's the case. Any outside chance of Middlesbrough getting an automatic promotion place disappeared in a puff of smoke last week. The playoffs are still very much alive, but you need really to put things right when you're playing those teams in and around you. And of course, Sheffield United, as you've mentioned, on the horizon. That's a huge game for Middlesbrough because Sheffield United just above Sunderland, 61 points, could do a favour to Sunderland, of course, if you can take something off them. Ex-manager as well. But yeah, from my position as a neutral, great game to watch. And it was a good atmosphere. The fans did come out in force, did support the teams, and it just felt it could have gone either way. Middlesbrough though just weren't up to the challenge. A lot of changes in the dressing room, right? Lots of things changed, which I think gives Carrick a bit of grace. We are, as football fans, it's in our nature too quick to criticise managers and they get on, certain people getting onto social media and having a pop. I don't think it's the end of Carrick. But I think at the end of the season, I think if Middlesbrough miss out on the playoffs and then ultimately if they get into the playoffs they miss out on promotion, I think there'll be a decision to make for him, and I think there'll be a decision to make for Middlesbrough, because ultimately, people can overstay their welcome, people can go stale. And ultimately, Steve Gibson, as we know, has backed Borough for years and years and years, and been very cute with his business and the way that he's done it. But I think even Carrick might fancy a change if there's no promotion this season, and maybe a new person coming in will change it. As for Sunderland, they're there, aren't they? They're in and around the automatic spots. We've been talking about this since the start of the season. I remember Ted getting, couldn't believe the start to the season really with Lebris and what he'd done. Yeah. And, it'll come to an end. It'll come to an end. It'll come to an end. Well, it hasn't. 30 games in, 58 points. A chance to get above Sheffield United and Burnley is on the horizon now. And if they can do that, you wouldn't write them off winning the league, only because Leeds, as we know, as the song goes, always seem to fall apart. And Leeds at the moment look comfortable, but they're not that comfortable. You know what I mean? They're 5 points. Burnley are only 5 points behind them. Lose a couple of games, draw a game, lose a game against one of your rivals, and you're right back down into the playoff position. So anything can happen. It's exciting. Championship, as we've said for years, has been a one-horse race for people. And it's been, everyone else is chasing second. And there's been one team better than everybody else. But you've got Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United and Sunderland all in the mix now, really, to win that title. Blackburn, you'd think on 45 points, probably, are done and dusted now. They're chasing that playoff place. Yep. And then the playoff places are, there is a race for the playoff places as well. When you look down the league, down to where 14th, where Millwall are, 40 points Millwall are on. They're a win and a bit away from being in the playoffs themselves. So it's such a competitive league. Exciting. But yeah, good advert for the championship. Thoroughly enjoyed the game. Glad I watched that instead of Chelsea West Ham.
Yeah, no, it was obviously look, for a neutral, and everyone said obviously we were on free TV Monday night. It was also the transfer deadline day, but it was a good spectacle for the championship, not from a Middlesbrough fan. And I think the less said about it, the better for Middlesbrough fans. We're going to need to move forward. But let's talk quickly before we get to everyone's favourite troll of the week about transfer deadline day. It did end on Monday. Middlesbrough doing a couple of deadline deals in, bringing in Iheanacho and obviously Ealing Jr. from Aston Villa, both loans, no options to buy, obviously replacing the striker because the big news out of Middlesbrough was Latte Lath leaving to go with Miggy Almiron over to Atlanta United in the MLS. I mean, it's the second time in a row poor Middlesbrough fans have seen one of their best players get sold in January. Last January, it was Morgan Rogers to Aston Villa. For those who follow the Premier League, you'll know how good Morgan Rogers is going there. But we've seen it again on deadline day. Latte Lath, our number one striker, our top scorer, going to United, which is just incredible. Obviously, business for Middlesbrough, 23 million that you can't turn down, but incredible to see one of our top players go on deadline day again. Something we have replaced in Iheanacho, something that Middlesbrough were prepared to act on. But again, it just leaves questions around Middlesbrough and obviously losing your best player at the end of January, not in the summer as well. We did see a bid from Ipswich turned down. It's just one of those things, though, isn't it, Middlesbrough fans, that we just need to wear. And obviously it's starting to wear thin a little bit, losing Morgan Rogers last January, losing Latte Lath. But it was a sad departure. Latte Lath was clearly a fan favourite. He always worked his butt off when he was on the pitch for Middlesbrough. He ran and ran and ran. He was a speed demon, and we are going to thoroughly miss him. And I'm going to thoroughly miss him as a close friend that I was chatting to a fair bit as well. Teddy Boy over to Sunderland. A deadline day, mate, was obviously filled with Isidore's signing a permanent just a couple of days before that. But you did dip in and go and get Dan's from Liverpool, mate. How do you find that one shaping up? I think Isidore's obviously your number one, but Dan's has got a point to prove.
Yeah, he has. And, like sort of reading a couple of bits from the Liverpool press, he's very, very highly rated there. He's had a couple of first-team games. The fans seem to like him there as well. He has got a little bit of an injury niggle. He's got to actually have a couple of weeks rest for a back problem that was picked up in the physical before he signed. Apparently, nothing to worry about. But yeah, listen, I think it's a good addition to the squad. At this stage, it's about bringing in a little bit of extra quality and just bolstering those ranks a little bit. Mayenda certainly has done himself no disgrace. I think he's probably a little bit unlucky to find himself on the bench at this moment in time. But in Mayenda, you've got somebody who's big, strong, physical. He's fast, so he can back up Isidore as well. Jayden Danns is being brought in for exactly that similar sort of thing. I think he's a different kind of striker. From what they're saying, he's kind of he's a bit more of a poacher. He's a bit more of a sort of a 6 yard striker. But hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of very, very good strikers made very decent livings out of doing that over the years. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, earlier in the window there was Enzo Lefebvre as well, which is obviously a loan with a view to buy if we get promoted. But yeah, the biggest signing for me was obviously Isidore being signed permanently. I think that's such a cracking deal. And if the rumours are true that it's for about $4.5 million, well, it's just like silly money. That's just brilliant. What a piece of business that is. But yeah, obviously a few outgoings as well that we kind of expected. Holding on to the likes of Job, holding on to the likes of Rigg, very, very important as well.
Yeah.
Our successful transfer window was more about not letting people go as well.
Yeah.
The only one I would have liked to have seen, and there's still time yet for the end of the season, although I think with every game that he plays for Sunderland, his stock price is going up, is obviously MACKEM. MACKEM, I think, is just so cool on the ball. Yeah. He's a very, very cultured centre-back, and I think every Sunderland fan wants to see him stay as well. So maybe if there's a promotion party, I think there'll be a bid goes in, but for every game he plays, like I say, he's just getting better and better. So that's the next window. I'm very happy with the business that's been done. Let's just get them all together now and push for the rest of the season.
Bring it on. Obviously, a quiet transfer deadline day for you, Steve, and Newcastle as we go into just a quick question, obviously, around it. Obviously, Miggy Almiron was rumoured pretty much all January. We were kind of expecting that. But the one surprise for me, mate, was the departure of Lloyd Kelly heading to Juventus. Obviously, just signed in the summer from Bournemouth, which looked like an astute deal. Obviously, Newcastle still balancing the PSR No big incomings again for January, something you said on the last podcast that you're expecting. How frustrated are Newcastle fans purely on a transfer front of the outgoing of Lloyd Kelly and not seeing anyone come in?
There was no disappointment because Eddie Howe told us at the start of the transfer window that we wouldn't be signing anybody. That the PSR situation was once again going to dictate whether Newcastle had any incomings. It's disappointing because obviously with a cup final now on the horizon, obviously at this moment in time still in the FA Cup and still chasing down, a league finish which would see us get back into the either Europa League or Champions League. Building your squad, bringing a new player in, freshening the dressing room would change things. Apart from players coming back, so Botman coming back in and Callum Wilson coming back in, because they've been injured for so long, it felt like new players coming in. There isn't any refresh in the dressing room, so it is a bit concerning. Mickey was always going to go. It was where he was going to go that was, the key decider. To get any money for Mickey, I think at the age that he is, was a bonus. He's happy, we're happy, job done. He wasn't getting a game. And, with regards to Kelly, great business. Mitchell's done nothing as far as incomes are concerned because of the PSR situation. But to bring Kelly in from Bournemouth in the summer for free, pay him wages. He's come on and done a job when he's been asked to come and do a job. But then to sell him to Juve for a fee of 20 million instead of 8 million, which is their original offer, I think is good business. It's certainly going to help our PSR. Newcastle will have money to spend in the summer. They're very reluctant to say what they'll have to spend, of course, because people will just hike the prices up. But it didn't feel disappointing, but it is disappointing in the fact that we're only one injury away from potentially, jeopardising our season. I make no bones about it. If Newcastle go into the Carabao Cup final in March with a full squad, with those key players available in Isak, Gordon, Bruno, Tonali, then Newcastle will have a fighting chance of winning the cup final. Newcastle go in with, a couple of players missing of that level. You're starting with your hands tied behind your back. But listen, interesting stuff. For me, I'm looking forward to the summer transfer window. But wasn't too disappointed, right?
Okay, well, there you go. Obviously, a transfer window that was massive for Middlesbrough. Obviously, I just covered it just before, but the big one for Middlesbrough, seeing Latte Left go to Atlanta United, £22 million, a record fee for Borough, a record fee in the MLS. This was the highest transfer fee a MLS team has paid, the highest fee we've ever received as from Middlesbrough Football Club as well. 22 million, could raise up to around 24, 25 with add-ons. Latte Lath, our striker, gone, but obviously Iheanacho in and Ealing Jr. as well. No defensive replacements, something that Middlesbrough fans were crying out for. We did see Travers come in, the goalkeeper, but it was another decent January transfer window where we saw this team get absolutely rebuilt. And obviously, like Steve said, with Michael Carrick being there, he cannot say that he hasn't been given the tools in the championship anymore. I believe that team has been completely rebuilt in January, apart from some defensive cover. Losing Matt Clark to Derby was a big one. But listen, it's a big couple of weeks now for Middlesbrough to show exactly what they're worth. But it's enough of that now. Let's sit back, relax. Let's all have a giggle because it's time for Troll of the Week.
And first of all, Ray.
I'm gone.
I've just thought I'd troll you, mate.
Anyway. No.
Why stop?
We had some good ones this week. Breaking, after being in Turkey, John Joe Shelby signs for Burnley Football Club. It's very good, that. I've no idea why I was sent this. This just came in as Troll of the Week, but with no explanation as to why. I'm not sure whether it was trolling me, whether that was supposed to look like me. I'm not sure. But anyway, I've had a shave now, so it was completely irrelevant. Thank you for sending that in. I like this one. Sit down and be humble. Lots of Arsenal ones this week, as you can imagine. This is him trolling us, isn't it? We didn't get what we deserved. The schedule didn't do us a favour. They had 1 day extra rest. Oh, come on, man. He's trolling us there, like, there's no doubt about it. So he decided to troll him back. There he is. I did send us a couple of times this week. Dad said he had a Sunderland top for me. And another one of our it's the ball's fault. It keeps hitting the back of our net. And when you think it's only a fart, but it's not.
Yeah, makes that Marty Feldman.
Oh my
Looks like
God.
him, doesn't it? And a couple more Arteta ones. Anthony Gordon having a rest, of course, in the first leg. I love these ones. I bet he's thinking about other women. Okay, move on to the ones that we've all been waiting for. There's some absolute belters here. Alan Carter and Equity, this was good. Found a Borough season card near the Oval. Can be returned to the owner if they still want to watch Luke Ayling pretend to be a footballer. I love this one. Alan Shearer, hey, and Wright, talk to me about our boy Isaac against your two centre-backs. Stephen then replies, hi Alan, enjoy it while it lasts. He'll be in an Arsenal shirt next season. Stu Penman replies, like he will. He's on an upwards curve, you deluded ding. People have lied, but they've never lied like this before. John Duran, I grew up watching Al Nassr. Flags and stickers, probably the flag of the week, this one, lads. Millwall, halfway liners, do the old bill. Matt, don't do it at home. Manzi's pie and mash, feed it to the Lions. Sadiq Khan, well, there's an opinion on him. And Effin Snifford Dave, probably the flag of the week. Anyone got any flags that they want to send? I bet you have. Gary, like this one. Being a Man United fan is like being Bonnie Blue's dad. Every week watching something you love getting absolutely pumped. Thanks, Gary. And the winner this week, unfortunate shirt tucking on the mascots in Italy.
Whoa! No! Oh, no!
Trot of the week's taken in a different direction this week. If you're easily offended, it's probably best to avoid it next week. Bring on the cat.
Oh, that is always good.
All of our channels will be closed down.
Yeah. Well, it was bye for us. Obviously, we won't be back next week. That was fantastic. If you want to get involved with Troll of the Week, you can send your DM or picture or tweet at any of our socials, at Ted the MACKEM, at Inrictus, or at Steve Wraith, or at NUFC Matters. We will get it on for Troll of the Week. We love it. It's a segment we do right here on Three's a Cowd podcast, the Northeast Footy podcast, the only podcast where we bring Newcastle. What did I say? Three's a Cowd. Oh, God. I stumbled my words. Three's a Crowd. Fourth footy podcast where we talk Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, the only people to do that as well, to bring three rivals together, three rival fans, and we have a bit of banter, have a bit of a crack, a bit of a laugh. Here we go. One for discussion. A TV show that you'd be forced to watch in hell on repeat over and over.
Oh, easy. Hang on, I've got to check.
Go on then. Oh,
I'm going to say El Dorado.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, for me, it's a more recent thing.
All right. What are you going for?
It's called Below Deck. It's one of these reality TV shows about the crew of some posh yacht. The people in it are just the most... It's like, imagine if Love Island people had a job on a boat. These vacuous, talentless a-holes. And that's something that I've had to endure a long, long time. Just making sure Mrs. Ted isn't awake, because that's the reason I watch it, is because sometimes I have
She loves it.
What a classic.
Mine would be a replay of Monday Night, I would have to say, if that counts as a TV show. But no, honestly, you know what I have to say is Wentworth. You haven't even seen that? I'm not sure if you've got that in Britain, but Australia did a spin-off. Wentworth is an all-female prison and the drama that goes on in a prison. It was just the driest drama content I have ever watched in my life.
I don't know, like it was. I thought it was better than Prisoner Cell Block H, mate.
Prisoner Cell Block H as well, but I just can't. I don't know. I think it's prison shows in general that I just can't get into. I hate them.
If you've never watched Wentworth, give it a watch.
That's a bit rich.
I don't think any. I've got to be honest. I don't think any of the girls in Wentworth. It's not really,
I'm talking the Australian spin-off here one, by the way.
We get it. We get it in this country, but.
You get the Australian one, do you?
Yeah. If people like that, if they look like that in prison in Wentworth, in Australia, you probably have a lot of people applying to be a prison officer.
Oh, it's bad. Honestly,
it's bad. Oh, what a TV show.
I can't.
Jeff Carter's brought that one.
Teletubbies is a good shout as well. If we ever put Teletubbies in the chat as well. Oh my God, the kids on that one. Yeah, but no, honestly,
You know the kid who was the sunshine in the Teletubbies. She's now a mother.
Let
that sink in on how old we all are.
Oh yeah, it's over. It's so over for us. Oh my God, I'm never going to see Middlesbrough win a cup or make it to win. You know what I mean? Like it's over. Like I'm too old. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, obviously that is Troll of the Week. Welcome back. Obviously, we've got two big games to talk about for Newcastle playing Birmingham, in the FA Cup away against the Riches of Birmingham. Ted and I are very, very aware of Birmingham and their money spending fortune of the League One. We're going to talk about that very soon. And Sunderland are also at home to Watford in the Championship today. No game for Middlesbrough. We decided to have a break, which we needed after Monday's performance. So we won't be playing till Wednesday night against Sheffield United, but we will talk about that one as well at the back end. Let's kick it off with a big FA Cup fixture. Birmingham taking on Newcastle United. Birmingham at home. Birmingham, if you haven't followed Birmingham recently, think about, let's see, Nottingham Forest of League One, going down, obviously, last year, getting relegated from the Championship. They decided, hey, let's just buy everything that we can and we'll survive in League One. Well, they've gone and done that. They've got American owners. Tom Brady, the NFL Super Bowl champion, is obviously a part owner there as well. They have invested heavily in returning back to League One. They are battling it out with Wrexham at the top. Obviously, Wycombe Wanderers are throwing in a bit of a curveball, but Birmingham spending so much money in League One. Teddy boy, I'll come to you because you're very, very aware of Birmingham. You're a lover of Birmingham. I swear you've got a Birmingham shirt in there somewhere. Birmingham taking on Newcastle United today in the FA Cup, mate. It's going to be a tantalizing fixture just because it's too. It's a heavyweight in Birmingham who are looking to bounce back probably in consecutive promotions. The money they're spending, mate. They've gone and gotten Jay Stansfield for an absolute record fee from the Premier League to go down to League One. Obviously, he's a Birmingham favourite. But, mate, they are spending big and they are looking for some success, and they're looking for success now. And look, what a better way than to show it at home against Newcastle United.
These are the games where Newcastle need to be very careful. Because, after the back of that brilliant result against Arsenal, and I'll reiterate what an achievement that was to absolutely stuff them. I did say to Steve at the weekend, though, Arsenal have scored all of their goals against Man City. You've got nothing to fear. And I was right. They absolutely pose no threat. However, I think this is a kind of it's a potential banana skin. This could be a bit of a giant killing if Newcastle don't play it very, very carefully. I think Stansfield is another one of those strikers. Undoubted, he could definitely handle it in the Championship because he already has. He was one of the top scorers when he was on loan at Birmingham City, even in their relegation season. So the kid's got quality about him, potentially even a Premier League striker in there somewhere. So yeah, they've just got to be very careful how they approach this game. It's one of those where, especially at Birmingham's own ground, there's got to be an atmosphere. It's a big game for them. It's getting a visit of somebody like Newcastle United is a big deal for Birmingham because they haven't had those days for a while now. So yeah, listen, I don't think this is going to be a walkover by any means. I even dare say Birmingham might just give them a little bit of a scare first and get the first goal. It's just obviously, with that party atmosphere of getting to one cup final. I just think the foot might be off the gas for the first 10, 15 minutes for Newcastle United. I'm sure Eddie Howe has prepared them very, very professionally for this, but I just think there's a little bit of a sting in the tail here. If we're going to do predictions now for this one, I am going to go for both teams to score on this one. I think Newcastle will run out winners, but I just don't see it being a walkover. Gary V, I share your kind of thoughts on this one. I'm going to say 3-1 to the Geordies.
Oof, 3-1 to the Geordies, Stevie. Well, Birmingham City have won just one of their last 15 meetings against Newcastle in all competitions. 5-1 away win in the FA Cup third round replay in 2007. Newcastle have progressed from 2 of their 3 FA Cup ties against Birmingham. All 3 have required a replay, though. Obviously, no replays. Birmingham are looking to reach their 5th round of the FA Cup for the first time since 2019. However, the Blues are winless in their last 10 meetings with the Premier League sides in the competition. Steve, a day obviously coming off the midweek incredible performance where you could easily forget that it was even a fixture after the celebrations of making it to Wembley. A game that you would probably think it's a League One team, it's Birmingham City. We could probably play a string of youngsters, but look, Birmingham will be up for the fight. It's at St. Andrews. How are you feeling about this one?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's another game, isn't it? But it does have that kind of feeling of after the Lord Mayor's show, Newcastle, have injury concerns over, 1 or 2 players. We know that Sven Botman won't be playing. His opposite knee to the one that he's had issues with was just being looked at yesterday. But Eddie said it shouldn't be anything to worry about. So we know he's not playing. Nick Pope needs a chance to get back in the team. I think this will be the ideal opportunity. I would imagine that Bradker will be rested as he seems to be the current first choice goalkeeper. Obviously Harvey Barnes still injured. Joe Linton not too seriously injured, we heard yesterday, but obviously had his leg in a brace. Didn't feature in the Arsenal game. Reckon that it's going to be at least another 2 weeks before we see Joe Linton. So Barnes and Joe Linton should be coming back very soon. Jamal Lascelles still injured, but on his way back. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Callum Wilson, Lewis Miley, Sean Longstaff, Emil Kraft. I expect all of those to feature. But I don't think Eddie will make it a wholesale change. I don't think we'll see 11 changes. I think he will take this seriously. You quite rightly pointed out how Birmingham are a team who are flying at the minute. Really, they've got almost a full squad to pick from. Willem Williamson returns from injury, but Pak Sung Ho and Emil Hansen are both still injured. A former Newcastle player lies in wait. He's on loan. Grant Hanley signed from Norwich City. And he's not cup tied, may feature as well. Although whenever Grant Hanley seems to be in the opposing side, Newcastle seem to win. So that could be a little good omen. But yeah, I mean, look, they've reached the 4th round by beating Sutton United. They beat Blackpool and they beat Lincoln City. So it's no giant killing from Birmingham. They've just been steady away with a 1-0, a 2-1, and a 2-1. Newcastle, of course, go into this game on form. There's no doubt about it. Birmingham have lost just twice in 27 league games, 10 wins, 3 draws, and 13 League One wins at St Andrews. The only defeat this year, though, has been at the hands of a Premier League team. 2-0, they lost at home to Fulham in the Carabao Cup. Referee always plays his part as well. Matthew Donoghue, first Newcastle game, usually handles games in the Championship. So will the occasion get to him? Will he be slightly overawed with Newcastle in town? It remains to be seen. And no VAR today, of course, which we saw last night, did affect the game. I've got a feeling that Birmingham will score first. Newcastle can be slow starters, but I think we'll have too much for them, and I think Newcastle will go for it today. We've got the bonus of having 5,000 away fans in the ground, which always helps. We tend to play well at night time. I hate the phrase under the lights, but Newcastle do tend to perform well under the lights. We are live on BBC One tonight. It is that kind of, potential banana skin of a game. But I think there'll be goals. I think Newcastle will score and concede today. I think there'll be a few goals in this. I'm going to go for a Newcastle 4-2 win.
4-2. Wow, that's going to be exciting for the neutral. I mean, are we expecting a full positive lineup here, Steve? Do you think, the likes of Isak, Tonali, Obviously, do you think they're going to be lining up for Newcastle today?
No, I mean, I don't think he will go wholesale. I think Craig's probably nearer the mark when he says there'll be a spine. Pope in goal. Botman, I think, will be out, but I think it'll be Dan Burn who'll play. Tonali, I think, the last thing he wants to do is rest after having a season off. And I think Callum Wilson. Wilson or Rasula will start. And one will come on at some point. I wouldn't be surprised to see Longstaff and Miley play. If Joe Linton's injury isn't as bad as we thought, he might get a run out because he missed the game against Arsenal. But yeah, I think it'll be a mix of those who haven't played, and there'll be quite a few people in. There'll be a few surprises there. But yeah, I'm going to go 4-2. I think there'll be some goals. I think Newcastle will probably find themselves a goal down, but will march back, and there will be those players on the bench. Guaranteed, your Gordons, your Isaacs, your Brunos will be on the bench. They'll be part of today's matchday squad, and if needed, they'll be called upon to come on and finish the job off.
Yep. No, I'm excited to watch this one. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to Newcastle. I think it's going to be an exciting game with lots of goals at St. Andrews as well. Birmingham going to be bright and up for this. These are the games that their owners and their money involvement and investment is what they want out of. These are the types of games they want in a couple of years back in the Premier League. So I'm going to go 3-2 today. But for Newcastle United, I still think you'll be
gone for a win.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's Birmingham. We have to, right? It's League One, for goodness sake, I tell you. But anyway, it'll be interesting to watch that one. Good luck to Newcastle. If you are traveling, please travel safe in and around Birmingham and have a fantastic away game today. Sunderland have got a game as well. We've got to talk about them. They are taking on Watford. Sunderland have won 6 of the last 8 home games against Watford, drawing 1 and losing 1, including a victory in this exact fixture last season. Watford have won each of their last 2 league games against Sunderland, though, and will be looking for a win 3 in a succession for the first time since 1993. Can you believe it? Sunderland obviously coming off the big win at Teddy Boy against Middlesbrough on Monday. You've got Watford at home, mate. It is a game that I don't think we need to worry about Sunderland slipping up. But, I mean, Watford are in the top half of the championship. They are still managed by Tom Cleverley. They have still got decent players in that team. How are you looking for Watford today, mate?
I think, first of all, we've kind of got to give a little bit of respect to Tom Cleverley for the job he's done there. He's really, really steadied them. And, I mean, Watford are a car crash of a club in terms of changing managers. I mean, they're worse than Sunderland for it, let's be honest. Yeah, they change it more than I change me socks, which is something else that Mrs. Ted complains about. Yeah, he's still asleep. Listen, this is going to be a tough game today. Watford have actually lost less games than us this season. They've only lost 5 games this season. They are the draw specialists, though. They find it very, very difficult to kind of turn these into wins. So it's going to be a tough one. I think I hate to say it. I just feel like that sort of after that win on Monday night, which obviously buoyed us brilliantly. I just see this being a really, really tough game. I think Watford will be desperate to get 11 men behind the ball and make it really, really difficult for us to break them down. I think this might be the odd goal in one that settles this. So I'm actually going to go for a very tight 1-0 win. Team news-wise, there's a couple of whispers doing the rounds. There's nothing official from the club yet that Job will miss out. Apparently he's picked up an injury. There's nothing confirmed yet. I'm literally just just doing the rounds on the message boards and things like that. The source that actually this has come from has been pretty accurate about most of the injuries we've had in the past as well. It's the same guy who broke the news about Chris Rigg and his chest infection earlier on in the season. So that remains to be seen. However, Alan Brown is back in contention, which for us is a fabulous welcome back. You almost forget you've got him. That midfield now could be absolutely terrific. I just feel that in that Middlesbrough match, Job wasn't at his best. I just felt like there was a little bit of fatigue starting to creep in. We've got to remember he's 18, 19-year-old. He's still developing. So I think with the likes of him and Rigg, I think maybe it's just a little bit of rotation wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing there. And obviously, Mundell's back, I think, in a week or two's time. He's back on the grass apparently now. We've been doing this without one of our best players, which is just absolutely incredible, really. So having him back switching Lafay to his preferred, more central role, I think that's going to see us prosper. Watford will be a challenge today, and with the slight tinkering with the team, I can see a Sunderland 1-0 win.
I just want to quickly, before we get Steve Wraith's thoughts on this game, just a quick shout to Mike Dodds, who's just gone down to League One to take over Wycombe Wanderers. Ted, obviously, Mike Dodds did a massive job for Sunderland last season in a season that was completely and utterly a mess off the pitch. Mike Dodds was right there to help out, standing in twice after the sacking of Mogga and obviously the sacking of Michael Beale, which Sunderland fans want to respect. I mean, how big of a loss, just quickly, do you think Mike Dodds is to your backroom stuff?
You've got two schools of thought on this. You've got the majority of Sunderland fans, and then you've got the people that are right. Mike Dodds will be a loss. Be a loss to the club. You see what the players say about him.
Yeah,
that's the telling thing. Obviously, he had a tough time of it as head coach or interim head coach, and he's for me he wasn't a championship manager. What he is a very good coach. Is certainly on a personal level. You see the likes of 09 and people like that. Tom, I agree. I think 09 kind of stunk in that derby a little bit, but from where that kid has come when he first joined the club to what he is now is massive, and that's a lot to do with Mike Dodds. Every single one of the players has had great things to say. Wilson Isidore took time out of the man of the match announcement
to thank him,
to thank him and actually wish him well. So I think Wycombe Wanderers, just keep an eye on them, because I think Doddsy is a very, very good coach. Whether he's right to be a head coach, we don't know that yet, but he's getting his crack at it, and I think he deserves it. Yes, it'll be a miss, but I'd like to think that the kind of development side of things is being gleaned from him, and who knows, Tom, as much as 09's not the player I think to take us into the Premier League, somebody like a Luke 09 and your coaching staff who's learned from Doddsy, I think that's what you need. You need people like Dodds in your squad without a doubt. Best of luck to him on that one, I say.
Steve, obviously Sunderland taking on Watford at home, mate, in the early kickoff. We're just, I think, a couple of hours away from that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game this for Sunderland, because it's the next one. You look at it and think, well, this is an opportunity for them to cement their place, in that kind of top 2, top 3 positions, and they've got to win today. Sunderland have got to win. Got to win every game now. And Watford, of course, as I mentioned earlier, are chasing that kind of playoff berth. 41 points Watford are on. They're a win away from the playoffs. So this isn't an easy game today. It's a game as well which Sunderland are expecting to win. There's not a great deal of pressure on as there was last week to go to Borough and get a result. It's all about the motivation. It's whether Lebrice can get the best out of it. What this season tells you is that if Sunderland don't win a game, they always find a way not to lose it. So there's an opportunity here, really, I guess, for at least another point on the board. But yeah, they've got to win. They're on TV again. It's another moneymaker for Sunderland today. So yeah, it's a positive. I'm getting told by Borough and Sunderland fans in the chat now on a regular basis not to back their team to win. But I think Sunderland are going to win this 2-1. I think it's a 2-1 win, Ted, today. I think it's going to be one of those rare weekends where you're not going to be biting your nails. You're not going to be biting your nails. Should be a comprehensive win, this, with a consolation coming for Watford at the end. But I think Sunderland will win this 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Sunderland. I just think Sunderland are going to be way too much for Watford. Watford, 3 losses on the bounce. Sunderland, what we saw with Enzo Lafay, I just think there's no championship right back that can deal with Enzo Lafay the way he is playing at the moment. And Isidore obviously scoring as well. I was going to go 3-0, but I just think they are susceptible at the back, just with Luke 09 and stuff like that. So I think Watford might be able to get on the counter and get a goal. Excuse me, but I think Sunderland will prove too strong in attack, and it'll be a 3-1 victory for Sunderland today.
You for on the weekend, everyone.
If you want to trust the curse, Birmingham and Watford to win today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But it has been a massive, massive podcast. We are done. An hour is up. Three's a Crowd is actually done for this Saturday. We had a lot to cover and we managed to squeeze it in all into an hour. We will be back next week. We will be looking back at the Middlesbrough midweek performances. We'll be looking back at the Birmingham and Watford result. We'll be looking at Troll of the Week. Make sure to send them in. And as always, we'll be bantering, we'll be bickering, but we'll be loving each other just as much as well, in a weird way of wrapping that up anyway. Take care of one another. This is Three's a Crowd.
Making that weird.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe if you are making the travels to Birmingham. Newcastle fans, Sunderland fans, enjoy your day out at the stadium. Like Middlesbrough, feel free to relax and have a beer and not worry about Middlesbrough ruining your weekend today. We got a weekend off just to relax. Take care of one another. This is Three's a Crowd, the Northeast Footy Show podcast. Back next Saturday. Like, comment, subscribe, share it to your friends, send it to your cousin, their dog, cat, cousin, and we will be back next Saturday. We'll see you then.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.